Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. Geeky Kool presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to Geeky Kool presents Professor and Ace. I think we're up episode 38.
Wow.
So we're trucking right along, and
we are. Look, I have Ace on there. Like
you do, and I appreciate that. I'm the professor. This is Ace, our Ace reporter, and by the way, she's earning that even more coming up very soon. Congratulations on your new job as a reporter.
I start on the 16th. So yeah, I'll be reporting. I'll be a beat reporter for the local newspaper.
That is amazing. That's a job I at one time thought I wanted, and I did some journalism stuff, and then I was like, that may not be the exact job for me, but I like it. I still like it. Got me really well. I was already writing, but it kind of really honed me that way. So I'm like, all right. So I'm excited for you. I think you'll really enjoy it. You will be great at that. So congratulations.
The weird thing, thank you. The weird thing about it is my son was a journalist major for a little bit, and he was the yearbook editor and all of that. I've always written and I've always taken pictures, but I've never thought of myself as a journalist. And then this opportunity came up and I was like, I just really want a career change. I'm 45.
Yeah.
And I really would like to have an actual career. And so I was like, I'll try out. And I got it. So.
And that's amazing. I've always thought what we do is actually journalism. It's not the beat report journalism.
Right.
It's more of your opinion page stuff and your entertainment people. But those are important too. Those were my favorite sections of the paper anyway. So there we go. Then the comics. Got to read the comics.
Well, I like when I applied and I sent in my writing samples, which were from Geeky KOOL. So if you guys, I sent in the For Love of Spider-Man series, which I love. But I told them I'm used to doing opinion pieces. Like it's about what I like and stuff like that. And you're a really good editor for letting me just do those things. But yeah, it's going to be different. And I'm a little nervous about it. But I have some great colleagues over there that I've met already, and I know one of them very well.
Yes.
And that would be Tim from the Nerd Informant.
Hey, Tim.
So I'm hoping that it's a good fit, and if nothing else, even if it isn't a good fit, at least I tried out for something different. And so
I think it will be a good fit, knowing your personality, knowing what journalism is about, and your drive. It'll give you a chance to spread those wings, and I think you're going to be amazing. You're going to be, and let me say this in the correct manner. So, for me, the real Lois Lane is not the helpless girl that's trying to get Clark to prove he's Superman. It's actually the reporter that is just gung-ho to the point she'll do anything for a story, including jump off a building because she wants to write the story. And once that Pulitzer, that's where I see you. Not as the helpless one, but I see you. I see that part of Lois Lane inside of you. So you'll be great. You'll be running that paper in 5 years. You'll be like, all right.
I don't think so. I don't want that. I don't know if I have that kind of ambition. I would really just like to.
No, you'll be great, but I'm waiting for Chief. We're gonna change you from Ace to Chief eventually. But until then, you'll be Ace. So, all right. Well, tonight on our special edition, we had to change it up because of some schedule conflicts. But our special Friday night edition, we're back to our series talking about classic movies and ones that we love, and we have a great time period.
Oh my God.
1950 to 1954. This is an amazing time period for movies. And so we expanded our list out to 7 because we couldn't go down to 5. And even at that,
I can't.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, and here's how I narrowed it down. I had it at 15, and then I'm like, okay, if somebody like locked me in a room for a week or so and said, these are your 5 to 7 movies that you can only watch on a loop. These are the only ones. Which of those 15 would I choose? And that's how I decided.
Right.
So
well, and I had mine at 13, so we're very similar there. Mine was at 13, and I had other movies that I thought, well, that's a good movie, but that doesn't quite make my list. Right. And then I'm like taking things off, and it's painful. And I told AJ I was down to 7. I'm like, I'll do anything to get these 7 on because it's right. And she's like, I've got 7 also. So I'm like, let's do 7. So now 2 of our 7s are the same, so that'll actually balance out. Yeah.
Just good. My number 1 movie of all time is from this time period. So, you know, it's my number 1 on the list. It was one of the ones we share. So
right.
That's gonna come later.
Stay tuned for that because you'll find out Ace's number 1 movie of all time. And it comes from this time period. So that says a lot because she loves movies.
I know.
She is a huge movie geek. I am too, but she's probably a little bigger than me. And as far as being more intense and knowing stuff, and even having seen more than me, which is really hard to do because most people are like, I've never heard of that movie or whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know that one, but I prefer this one. I'm like, what was that one? I need to see that. Okay. So
I had way too much time as a kid. I don't know.
Well, I understand. We have 5 people watching us. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this time. Please, grab a bowl of popcorn, whatever. Listen to what we've got. We're going to start off here momentarily about what movies we love, especially since we've got 7. We're going to jump in. You want to start us off? What do you have?
So I will say this going into this, mine are not in any particular order until the last 2.
Right.
Other than that, they're just kind of interchange and they depending on my mood. So let's start.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, it just depends on your mood. I'm going to start off with one that is a surprise to a lot of people. My dad was a huge John Wayne fan, and I had to watch every John Wayne movie ever made because of my dad being a huge John Wayne fan. There's a couple of John Wayne movies that I love. Most of them are just like thrown down my face so much growing up that I'm not a huge fan of them. This one though has John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, and it was actually filmed in Ireland, and it is an amazing movie.
It is.
Physical comedy that Maureen O'Hara brings to this role is wonderful. When John Wayne's character is dragging her through the field, he actually drug her through the field. She had bruises all over her body from that. But it's called The Quiet Man. And The Quiet Man is, it is wonderful. It's a story. It's John Wayne, unfortunately, a lot of the times got like typecast in certain roles. Yeah. And the roles that I like him best in are actually show his acting chops. And this is one of them. He does not play a cowboy. He actually plays an ex-boxer who moves back to Ireland. And after a horrible accident in the ring that left his opponent dead. And he is just trying to internally deal with that and resolve things and come to peace with himself over all of these things and not wanting to invoke violence ever again because he feels so much guilt to what happened. He meets Maureen O'Hara's character, who is basically a spinster. She is this person who everyone in town just knows is never going to get married, and her brother is very like holds on to her very tightly, not in like a creepy way, but because she has a dowry and he's just cheap. And they fall in love, but they don't. But they do. It's very it's a realistic type of love story. It's not like, oh, they fall in love and live happily ever after. No, she is angry with him. He is angry with her.
A lot. Yeah.
But it was filmed. It's a Ford movie. John Ford went to Ireland. It was considered very unique because they actually did film it in Ireland and not on set anywhere. And John Ford and John Wayne together did a lot of great movies, but this is my favorite one.
This is a great one. I was happy to see this on the list. A little surprised because I'm like, wow, a John Wayne movie. But I'm like, but it's The Quiet Man. That makes sense to me. That makes perfect. Cause it's a great film. It is one of John Wayne's best movies. It's
I agree. So
yeah,
I think it's his best. I like
yeah.
photography as well. I like McClintock. I like it when he's with Maureen O'Hara. I think they have great chemistry together. But no, this one was just my favorite. And like I said, I've seen every John Wayne movie ever made. Even the shorts when he was just, first starting out, the spaghetti western. But this one, I feel like he brought something to the role that's not John Wayne. Like,
right.
Like
what you don't typically think of, right? Yeah. No, I'm with you completely. This is a great pick. I was, like I said, very pleased to see it on there because it didn't make my list, but I went, oh, that's a great one to have on there. It is one of those where you're like, oh, that definitely could be added easily, and yeah. So that's a wonderful pick. We'll talk a little more about typecasting as we go. We do have 4 people watching. We were up to 6 at one moment. Hopefully those people will come back. But if you guys have any comments or questions or thoughts, feel free to post that in there. If you want to give us your list of your top movies from 1950 to 1954. But I'm telling you, if you think it's easy, good luck, because that is nuts. So
I feel like it's getting harder and harder. Like
it is. Well,
it's like there's so many movies.
Right.
So many good movies.
People. So especially from this time frame, the next 20 years worth of movies are really good. So, but this one really was hard. So anyway, feel free to leave comments, guys. I will give you one of mine now.
Yes.
This one, it comes from my favorite director,
Hitchcock.
We're going Alfred Hitchcock with The Rear Window.
Okay, so
Jimmy Stewart.
I almost put this on my list. It was in my top 15. And then I thought about it and I was like, I know Professor loves Hitchcock. And I was like, this one has to make his list. Jimmy Stewart's amazing in this. And Grace Kelly, I mean.
He is. Grace Kelly, yes.
She didn't make
for people that don't know this.
I was shocked she didn't make my top 7. And I was like, oh, somebody has to.
I understand. Well, Rear Window is sitting there right at number 6 for me. I was trying to figure out how to. I mean, it was one of those where I'm like, I've got to have it. It's not working to not have this movie here. So no. It's an amazing movie. For those that don't know, it's basically the story of a photographer breaks his leg. He's caught up at home. He can't leave, and he's really into watching The Neighbors. He's a little voyeuristic.
I was gonna say very voyeuristic. The whole
very
this movie is voyeurism at its core. Like
right.
I find a lot of photographers, not that they're voyeurist, but there's an aspect of artists, like photographers, painters, and stuff, that we want to capture part of the human experience.
Right.
So we walk for wallflowers, and he at this point is stuck at home. So the only people he can watch are his neighbors.
Right. Well, I used to go to the mall just to watch people at the mall. I didn't really want to buy anything. I might go to the food court. I really couldn't stand a lot of the other stuff with the mall, but to watch people is fascinating. So I get it. But watching his neighbors, he ends up seeing what he thinks is a murder.
True. And
not
a murder, but the disposal of a body. So
disposal of a body, exactly. So this is a great movie for anybody that likes kind of the suspenseful stuff that I do. This is suspense at its core. This is not horror, but it's suspense, and it will take you for quite a ride. So I definitely suggest this movie.
I mean, it's Hitchcock, but it's Hitchcock in. I kind of say Rear Window is Hitchcock in a subtle way. It's Hitchcock, and you can tell it's Hitchcock. Hitchcock has a specific way he directs movies. The the way that scenes are set up, you can see a movie and know it's a Hitchcock movie just by like a couple scenes. And this one still has that, but the story is just a little bit more subtle, and the characters are just a little bit more subtle. And Grace Kelly plays, you know, the love interest of Jimmy Stewart.
His girlfriend. Yep.
They're not like love interest. Like if you watched it, you didn't understand at the beginning that she is his girlfriend. It's more like there's not like interaction, that romance. There's no romance in this movie. It is pure, like, what he thinks he sees and what is real and what is not. And there's that like roller coaster was like, well, did he really see that? Did he not really see that? You know, it's beautifully directed. And Jimmy Stewart is one of those actors that I really like. Grace Kelly, I think this role actually gave her a little bit less of a princess thing. And I know she's a princess in real life, but in this role, it wasn't like she was playing like in High Society where she plays, you know, a high society girl. This is just very much the girl next door, Grace Kelly, which is amazing. So
it's set in Greenwich Village, Manhattan. So it's very much a working area. At this time, a lot of the places didn't have air conditioning. Set in the middle of summer, so people's windows are open, often running fans, and you get to see all of that. And the supposed murder happens during a thunderstorm. Where did he actually hear something, or was it just the thunder? So it'll make you think. So it's, you know, that's my kind of movies, and you know I love Hitchcock. So yeah, this is a great one. So definitely suggest it if somebody's not seen it, and you like a suspense movie. That's what you're in for. Be prepared to go for quite a ride and wonder what's really going on. So,
and it's quite a ride that has little subtle turns and twists until you realize you're way on the roller coaster. Like, you don't realize you're on the roller coaster for a little bit, which is great.
I
agree.
What
I'm talking about, like, it starts off.
I do.
Like, oh, okay. And then it was like, no, wait, oh, yeah. So there's a lot of those moments. I love that pick, and I was hoping you would get it on there. So good job.
Me too. All right, what else do you got? Yeah, well, we kind of know each other pretty well at this point to know what we're going to be looking at. So
we do.
You probably could guess a lot of my lists. So
I actually, on this one, I was shocked by my own list, which ones actually made the top 7. I mean, I have 2, 3. I have 3 musicals on my list,
which doesn't surprise me.
It surprised me that 3 of the 7 were musicals. It made the list, but it was quite surprising. But they're the ones I'd want to watch. And so we're going to start with my first musical, which is actually 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. This musical is so much fun. It is.
Come on, pull up the picture. Pull it up here. Why is it not doing what it's supposed to? Anyway, so I do have a picture of it. I don't know why it's not coming up, but so basically, oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, I don't know. Maybe something weird going on my end. There's the picture of it. It's definitely a musical. There was a short-lived 80s series based on this, wasn't there?
There was. It wasn't nearly as good. You know, there's a thing that I hate when they remake movies that don't need to be remade, and they try to turn into series that don't need to be done. This movie is good fun. I remember watching it with my kids, and my kids liked it because it's funny enough that the kids like it.
Yeah. It's
intriguing enough that you like it. And basically, there are 7 brothers. They're named A through G, and they live up in the woods, and kind of like they have a town close by, but they only come down like twice a year to get supplies, and people are just like they're very mysterious to the townspeople. And one girl arrives in town, and she becomes the cook at the local like little tavern. Her name is Millie, and she is just, you know, wanting to have her own like little house with her own little garden and only cooking for one person, you know, that sort of thing. And oh yeah.
Yep.
And Adam, the oldest brother, he comes down for supplies and on a mission to find a wife. And within hours of meeting Millie, he's proposed, they're married, and they're heading back. What he hasn't told her is that he has 6 brothers who live with him and who are just think of, it's kind of like Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. In the fact that she now has to cook and clean for 7 brothers. And but they start respecting her. And they start doing what she says, and they start cleaning up. And finally, she's like, realizes the only way she's going to get out of this is if she finds wives for all of her new brothers.
Right.
And she takes them to town, and they all find girls that they like, except for the fact that they are not considered good townsmen and everything. And she tells the story of, she reads them a story about the Sabin women, which is where men kidnapped women and made them their wives. And so they actually do this. They go down to the town before the big snow where covers the pass and people can't get to the mountains. And they actually kidnap 6 women and they take them to their house. And throughout that whole experience, these girls liked them before. So it's not like they didn't like them before.
Right.
These girls liked them before. They now get into this house. Millie makes sure nothing happens to the girls. It's not like a dangerous situation other than that they've been taken from their families. And they eventually fall in love with the brothers. And it's just this story. It's fun. It's weird. It's not quite like you're falling in love with your captor kind of thing because you knew them before and that sort of thing.
Right.
But
songs
are fun and they're upbeat. There's great dance scenes. One of my favorite parts is one of my favorite characters. His name is Dorcas. She is played by the amazing statuesque Julie Newmar, and most people know Julie Newmar as Catwoman, but this was actually before that. I know. So, and she dances, and it's lovely. So, no, it's a good musical that's just a little bit of fun. And I know that a lot of people think it's not PC, which it's not, but it was 54 when it came out. So
yeah, 54. A lot of good movies in 51 and 54. A lot of good movies. So, I remember seeing. So my parents started watching the 80s series based off of it. I remember them watching that, and then that prompted us when, a long time ago, people that are watching that aren't as old as I am, VCRs were this thing where it would play tapes, but people couldn't afford a VCR. So you would go rent movies at the store and you would rent a VCR with it, and you'd bring a buttload of movies back and have to have them back like in a week, but you would rent them all. And we rented this movie. So I say all that for all the young people watching that have no idea what I'm talking about.
Jane Howe and Howard Keel. I mean, seriously, her voice is beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed beauty, little tiny thing, singer, dancer, did Broadway for years. And Howard Keel, his voice, he was in Kismet. He was, it's a lot of big voices in this movie, and they're amazing. So,
and just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
If you like musicals, this one is a good one.
Even if you don't, this may be a good one to kind of introduce you to kind of a musical feel, because it's fun enough that where, there's some musicals that you really got to kind of be into that it's a musical. And then there's some that are fun enough that you can I can deal with the music because they're funny and whatever else. So this is a good one to get your feet wet if you're not used to musicals. So
I agree.
So talking about actors playing roles that is out of what everybody thinks they are.
Right.
Going back to the well that I've been on the last 2 times, we're going Mr. Humphrey Bogart here.
Of course.
And we're going African Queen. So, and Mandy, by the way, Mandy, if you're watching still with us, this was her pick for number 1. This is a great movie. It's number 5 on my list, but This is an amazing movie. It really kind of shows some acting chops of both Humphrey Bogart and Catherine
Hepburn.
Hepburn. Thank you. I'm like, oh my gosh, my brain just kind of went out. But this is a great fun movie. It's not the typical movie for either one of them. It's really it's an interesting movie because it's set right before World War I. And right before the Germans are going to invade part of Africa, village of Kungdu. So basically, this Katharine Hepburn and her character and her brother, live in this little area, and they have a boat that brings them supplies back and forth every so often, and that is who Humphrey Bogart's character is. He is the captain of this little boat. That's all. It's his job.
A little tiny boat.
Just a tiny little thing. And the Germans come in and invade and basically end up killing her brother, and they have to escape. And so they're on their way trying to escape, but also Katharine Hepburn's character, and I love this character. She's great because she is just tenacious. Is like, you know what? Let's sink this boat. Let's sink this boat that's causing all these problems. Because like, oh, we can't get through here because of this German boat. Nope, let's go sink it. What?
She has moxie.
And she has moxie. She's always had moxie, but this character is amazing. And I just love the scene where they have to get out and push the boat, and it's just yeah. So
and Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart have, that real life chemistry, but what is fun about this movie, it's translated in a way that's not just romantic.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when they're arguing, because they argue in this movie. Like they have like this. Yeah. When they're arguing, you can see like that in real life, they probably had a very like heated type of romance kind of thing going on.
Right.
Have like this headbutting. She is very strong-willed. He is very strong-willed kind of relationship. And I really like this movie. I like this pick. I knew it was going to be on your list just because it's Bogart. It was on my top 15. Hi, Mandy. It was on my top 15, and I was like, and I was going to put it in that 7, and I was like, nope, it's Bogart. I know Larry will have it on his.
Well, this is one of those where it could have easily been number 2, or right. I mean, because it was one of those where I'm like, where do I put really here's like where like things become very fluid for me, even up to number 1. My number 1 is even doing that. So I'm like, dude, I don't know where to rank them, but because I love all of these. But I remember, I've told you before, some of my best memories are me sitting down with my mom and watching movies. Right. That's why I love Rebecca. And this was one of those where she's like, oh, let's sit down and watch this movie. I'm like, what is this? And then I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then that's how I discovered Humphrey Bogart. And then I went back and watched all the other noir movies with him, Casablanca and all that, and been like,
this was your
holy crap, this guy's awesome.
Bogart. This was your introduction.
Yeah, this is my introduction.
Wow.
Yeah, this is my first Bogart movie. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was probably 8 when I watched it. And so, yeah, my mom convinced me to watch it. So thanks, Mom. If you're watching, thank you for introducing me. She'd probably be like, I don't remember that. But, that's because I've told her that about Rebecca. And she's like, I don't remember that at all. I'm like, it was important to me. I don't know. So.
I know. I often wonder if my mom and grandma, because they were such movie buffs and they had such different movie genres that they liked. And then my dad would like the John Wayne stuff. Because I lived in a home with not just my parents, but my grandmother. And so I had like a lot of movie influences. Esther Williams, none of her movies made my list last time or this time. I want to throw her out there. If you guys have never seen an Esther Williams movie, she was known as Hollywood's Mermaid. It's beautiful. She did one movie with Red Skeleton that was like lovely. Yeah. So I watched a lot of those movies growing up. So I feel you, and I don't think they realize how much they influenced us.
I think you're right. I think they don't realize, especially for these classic movies that they loved. So
Yes.
that's what's phenomenal. We got a couple of comments.
Okay.
Oh, this was
That
Mandy's
was
introduction of Boogie too. All right, and she said, "Oh, see, there we go. These are great stories, Mandy. You should come on with us sometime and talk
should.
because
We love Mandy.
you definitely need to be. Yeah, next time we do one of these movie things, you come on and you give us your picks too.
Hey, and next time is 55 through 59. So there's
And those are some. By the way, Ashley, if you're watching or if you're watching later, the movie you had mentioned is actually 1959, so it didn't make our list this time. But I would watch for it for the next one because I know somebody who really likes Vincent Price, so I have a feeling that pick will come up.
You gotta love Vincent Price. I'm just saying.
I agree. I agree. So, all right. So that one was
yours.
that was mine, wasn't it? All right. So let's get one of yours in here.
Another musical, and this one is Ode to My Grandmother. She had a thing. Oh my God, she had a thing for this man so much, and I love Debbie Reynolds. And this is one of those movies that you see Debbie Reynolds and you're just like, oh, she's so adorable. And that is Singing in the Rain.
Yep.
That movie is
up here. And I did see where it said, Mandy had also said that it did bring it up last time, and I just wasn't seeing it. So I don't know if something's going on with weird with me. There we go. There we go. Singing in the Rain.
I'm just going to say that is my grandmother's crush.
I understand that.
She was like, here's what's funny is, so he was known, he's a dancer and stuff, but he would wear high-waisted pants. And my grandmother was like, no one wears high-waisted pants like him. I have no idea why I'm saying that, but it's true. This movie is really fun. If you guys have it is. It's a lot of fun. So he plays, of course, an actor in Hollywood, but it's in silent films. And he has a partner who has played in all of his silent films with him. But they're getting ready to transition from silent films to talkies. And that's what they called films that actually had words. And you could hear the people. Yeah. But his partner, her voice is not attractive. And she has a very high-pitched, squeaky, almost annoying voice, and she can't sing. And they're turning the music or the show they're doing into a musical talkie. And what I love about it is it actually does show things that I feel like were very much issues when they did that transition from talkie, like trying to find ways to hide the microphones, because the microphones were big. They weren't like, you can't just have like a little microphone. It was like they were like this big. And so there's one scene where she's in her dress, and it's like Victorian style dress, and she's got this huge corsage, and the corsage keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they're trying to hide the microphone.
Right.
Debbie Reynolds' character plays a waitress who's trying to be an actress who, has a beautiful singing voice. Of course, she's Debbie Reynolds, and Debbie Reynolds have an amazing singing voice. And she, they try to Milli Vanilli. And if you're in the 80s, you know what I mean by that. They try to Milli Vanilli the situation by having Debbie Reynolds voice the character, the actress who's better known acts, and it doesn't quite fit. And but along the way, they fall in love. Debbie Reynolds and Cary Grant's character fall in love, and not Cary Grant. Oh my gosh, why can't I? They fall in love, and it's just an amazing story. So
it is an amazing story.
We'll be right back.
All right.
Keep talking. I just got an email alert, so I got to check something.
All right. Well, we'll let her be alerted and go on. And feel free, guys, as you're watching, to leave comments or, again, leave us your list if you like. I do have an idea for something that will probably be a little different for next week that for us to talk about. So we probably won't be doing the movies, but we will be back to that again. This is a well that we like to go to because we love movies and we love lists. And even when we are pulling our hair out because we have a hard time putting those movies on lists because then you have to leave movies out that we love. So
that we love. I left, so many movies out this time, and I always feel bad when I do that. But we try.
Me too.
I just try to give you guys like a wider range, and like I said, I'd always pick movies that I think to myself, if somebody made you sit down and watch these movies, you're just gonna watch it. By the way, I had a brain fart a while ago, and I couldn't remember his name, and it's Gene Kelly.
Thank you. Yep.
But my grandmother's crush, she's probably yelling at me from heaven, like, Gene.
How can you not remember Gene Kelly?
Oh my God. A lot of people don't a lot of people remember Gene Kelly from he did a dance that got translated into animation for Paula Abdul's
yeah.
So
remember which video it was, but yes, I do know that. Yeah.
He was the little wolf guy.
Yeah. Right.
I can't remember the name of it either. That's bad. I'm getting old.
We'll think about it. We'll figure that one out.
I remember Gene Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh,
so and I knew we would come up with it. I would IMDb it otherwise, but I'm like, it's the guy who's always dancing with.
Always dancing. He was an American Paris, which was also on my 15 list, but didn't make it. Yeah. So.
All right, we'll go with my number 4 on the list. And again, these are kind of fluid on where they're at. But this movie is a foreign film on our list. Ooh. It is one that has influenced movies galore, including modern-day superhero movies and Westerns. And that would be The Seven Samurai.
The Seven Samurai. I mean... amazing Japanese film, and it is Westerns. It's the hero story.
It is the hero story.
Hero's purest form. Star Wars, I don't think would have happened without movies like this.
Right.
The serial Westerns like Kung Fu and Rawhide, all of those. I don't think any of them would happen without movies like this. And so no, that's a great pick. I like that.
Well, and for those that don't know, and if you've seen The Magnificent Seven, that's a Western version of The Seven Samurai. It's an adaptation. But it basically, the idea is that this village is being terrorized by this group that comes in and basically takes their stuff and is the big bullies. And so they go looking for help, and they find a samurai and a little kid that he's saving. And then they're like, hey, can you come save us? Because we've heard one samurai can prevent all this from happening. And he recruits some other samurai to go against a huge army, basically. So these 7 men fight this whole army, and not all of them survive. It is quite a movie. If you've not seen it, it's pretty amazing. I prefer dub just because I'm more auditory, plus I also get distracted by the words. So, but it's definitely something to check out. It's we haven't had many foreign films on our list, and this is one that I think is absolutely amazing and needs to be on this list.
It's so important of a movie too, just because the transition for foreign films to come over to America was not a huge thing. Japan actually. France and Japan were the ones that came over more often in this time period.
Right.
One of the other ones I have on my list, and I know you have on your list, is also another foreign film as well.
It is.
It's the ones that we had that were the same. But no, this film tells that hero story, but it also, like you said, the Magnificent Seven, the old one and the new one, this is the story, except it's more, it's the first of incarnation of that story. To go even further, comedies like The Three Amigos would not have been made if it wasn't for this. but I love the Three Amigos. I'm just saying, that's hilarious. I know. Did you know that at one time when cons were still a thing, Amanda Cole and myself and we, all of us that did the Sanderson sisters at Vision Con, we were going to do the Three Amigas. That was going to
definitely should do that still. That is awesome.
Cons ever happen again?
Con.
I have the sombreros already. Like
I love it.
But no, this one is great. I love this pick. I watch it with the subtitles because I don't have that problem, and I'm actually like a word person, so I have no problem reading. But you can find it dubbed as well. So that's what's great about it. It's not one or the other. A lot of the times when there's subtitles, people are like, I don't want to read. And so they miss out on a lot of stories that don't actually get dubbed. This one did get dubbed. So luckily it can be enjoyed either way.
Right. I just, with my ADD, I find it a distraction. And then I'm missing the story. Right. I'm reading too much. Plus, I'm a slow reader too. So that also makes it worse. Paying
attention to the words and not the picture.
Not the action, right.
Yeah. So
I'm also auditory, so I'm, very. Anyway, but Mandy had this to say. Hey, Mandy, opposites attract.
That's it. That's the Paula Abdul song.
That is the Paula Abdul song. Yes. Okay, I was wondering what she meant, but yes, you're right. That is the Paula Abdul song.
Tell your husband thank you.
He gets 2 big 80s thumbs up there. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, that the cartoon in that the choreography from that is actually from a movie that Gene Kelly did, and he danced, and then they translated into animation, and Paula Abdul dances with Gene Kelly. Like she said that was her dream was to dance with Gene Kelly, and unfortunately he passed away, and that wasn't something that could happen. So thank you.
So she got to do it anyway. So yeah.
I appreciate that, Amanda, because me, I would have been up all night trying to think of that, and I have to be at work at 7 a.m.
I would have gone and pulled up Paula Abdul videos later, and would have been like, "Oh, that's the one. Yeah, that's it." Okay, yep.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I knew what you were talking about. Because I remember the video. I was like, "What one was that?" Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, that's fun. Okay.
All right, what do we got next here?
So I can't do the next one on mine because you're going to use it for your number 2. So we will do another musical, and this is actually my favorite musical of this time frame, and it is Calamity Jane. I love Calamity Jane. Oh my gosh.
It's a fun movie.
It's so much fun. I mean, seriously, people don't realize how funny this is, and it's loosely based on real life, but not based on real life. It's based on real life people, but not exactly true to life, but so much fun. If you don't have a story of Calamity Jane, she was a real person who lived in the Dakotas, the Dakota Territory, before they were split into North and South, the Dakota Territory. And she was a fighter. She was a gunsmith, a marksman person. She was, considered not ladylike whatsoever.
Right. Not at all.
No. And I actually have, hold on just a minute, because I love this movie so much. That I have.
Nice. There you go.
And I watch it once a year. Doris Day, Howard Keel. Again, I love Howard Keel. And it is just a lot of fun. Doris Day, of course, plays Calamity Jane. And she is, the town is wanting something different for entertainment. She lives out in the middle of nowhere, and the saloon is just wanting something. And every week when they get shipment in from the bigger cities, they have these cigarette packs that have showgirls in them. And one of the showgirls is someone that they really want. And so they actually, Calamity Jane goes to get her and bring her back. And Adelaide Adams is her name. And when she gets there, Adelaide Adams is actually already gone. And the maid is trying on these outfits that she had left. And Calamity Jane mistakes her for this showgirl. And she brings her back to the town thinking she's the showgirl. And then, and it's just this this fun mishap story of my mistaken identity. And then everybody falls in love with this girl, of course, because she's like, beautiful and exotic and everything. And the person that Calamity Jane really likes falls in love with this girl. And it's just this story that's like romance, but not romance, friendship. She becomes friends with her. And you get to see Doris Day in her tomboy way. And a lot of the time, Doris Day is portrayed as like, the girl next door who has a beautiful voice, which she did. She was in a lot of movies with Rock Hudson, which I love. But this one, Doris Day is an animal rights activist. She loves the outdoors in real life. And she was very much, like a tomboy. And this is the role that let her be the tomboy. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great pick. I do enjoy this movie too. This is a great one. So everything you've got, I've enjoyed a lot. So I'm like, all right, these are great picks. So we're doing great.
If you ever want to borrow it, it's like amazingness. So.
All right. So I'm going to go with a little 1951 science fiction.
Okay.
So this is a movie that actually, this is a great movie. I really love this movie. It's not some hokey, and I love the hokey big spiders and big whatever. I love those. So I'm not downcasting those. This is just not that. This is actually a really well thought out science fiction movie that had a lot to say for the time. This is The Day the Earth Stood Still.
It was on my list of 15. It was. Killed me cutting it. I'm glad you put it in there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm glad I got it in there for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, it's literally on my list. And I was like,
yeah.
It's a movie I love watching. It's not one that I could watch over and over and over and over again right away. And that's why it didn't quite make my list. But oh my gosh. Such a great sci-fi movie. Such a unique take, like you said. It's not like the giant spiders from or giant ants from outer space or any of those things.
Right.
Which I love those kind of movies. But this one was very psychological and very about the human condition and what was going on at that time and everything. It was very much like on point with what was going on or what people were afraid of and everything. So what do you love about it?
And for people that don't know, basically, so let me just recap it real quick and then we'll talk about that. So basically, for those that don't know, a UFO lands in Washington, D.C. And of course, that brings out this military response and all this fear of what's in this UFO. It just sits there for a while. And then finally the doors open and this giant robot comes out. And basically, I know Gort. Love Gort. Gort's awesome. And basically starts telling them they need to change what they're doing and reevaluate how Earth is being ran with all the wars and nuclear power. And of course, this is sitting in 51. So we just had the atom bomb dropped in 45. So this is just 6 years later, and looking at how basically the message was you're going to destroy yourself. But then there is the alien behind the robot.
Yeah.
And he actually comes out and hides in society, kind of in plain sight, trying to get to know humanity, and becomes friends with this little boy and then his mom. And I actually, that's my favorite part of the story, is here's somebody who's completely alien, he's connecting with this boy, and then later with his mom, and realizing humanity has some things they need to work on, but there's some good parts to it too.
It's very much like overall humanity has these things to work on, but individually,
we're
not bad people. Like, we as societies have issues, but individually they're not individual problems a lot of the time. So it's like small picture looks good, but the further you get away, and that's what's great about the whole alien aspect of it, is we see things in our own little world, in our own little neighborhoods, in our own little towns, and then our own countries and stuff like that. And it was very much a telescopic, microscopic look at society in the world.
Right.
And that's something that at the time, because you're looking at post-world wars, you're looking at post-atomic bombs, you're looking at this time when the world was trying to heal. And this movie came out and was like, what would we judge other countries for what's going on in their yard, basically? What would another planet do by judging us as a planet as a whole?
Right. Exactly.
And that was what was so important about this movie, was that it was taking a look at not just one society, it was taking a look at the world as a whole. But at the same time, because he did go out and befriend this little boy and his mom, it also took a look at the individuals that build up that society. So it was like, you as a whole are not good, but you as individuals are good. So what can we do to bridge the gap from individualism to society? And so it's a great pick. I like it.
I love this movie. I watch it anytime I get it, that I see it on. Based off a book, by the way. I didn't know this until I did some research. Farewell to the Master and Journey to the World. So most great movies are based off of great books. So I was not surprised. But 1951, another 1951 movie there that I'm like, I can't leave this off the list. This is too important. Plus, it's sci-fi. And
it's sci-fi.
How often do I get to talk about sci-fi? I mean, come on. I love good sci-fi. And this is good sci-fi. This is really good sci-fi. And again, I don't mind bad sci-fi. I'm okay with that. But this is good sci-fi, though.
Especially bad sci-fi from that time period. It's just, it's campy and fun. This is not. This is campy because, you have the robot and you have the aliens, and it's very much 1950s style robot aliens kind of thing. But if you go into it watching it,
put that up again. There you go. There's our robot right there.
You go into it watching it with this understanding that it was an actual statement of the way we should be viewing the Earth at the time. I still think the message is still good for now. Like, individually, I don't think we're a bad race of creatures, but collectively we have so many issues. And that's what it was saying. It was like, there's a difference between the individual and the collective, and the collective might not be great. So
well, a lot of fear-based, and that really kind of plays into this, showing the fear of getting our main character shot and all this other stuff. Basically, like when we get that group mentality and let fear take over, that's when society's in trouble. So, so anyway, so that was my number 3 pick. So tell me what you got on your list next here.
Okay, so I have 2 more. Well, I have 3 more, but we share 2 of them.
We do.
So I'm going to go with my number 2 pick, which is How to Marry a Millionaire. Love this movie.
Is a great pick. This was also in my 13.
Okay, so
and I was angry I was leaving it off because I love Marilyn. So
you have Marilyn, you have Betty Grable, who had the legs. You can see she was known. This movie was the transition between her being the blonde bombshell of Hollywood, and it was passing the torch to Marilyn Monroe. Of course, you have Lauren Ball, who as anyone knows, I love Lauren Bacall.
She's great.
I think she's amazing. She's one of those actresses like Katharine Hepburn who, as she aged, she just got better and better and better.
Right.
And they started off really well. So this is a comedy.
Yes, it is.
The three ladies, they're models. They model clothes for like back in the day. This is actually something that happened. Boutiques and department stores, big department stores, you could make appointments and have models try on clothes and walk around and like do a fashion show for individual clients. And they got to pick their whole wardrobe for the season and stuff like that. That's something that they offered. And there were models who did this. And this movie is about three of those models. And they decide that they want to marry a millionaire. They're going to give themselves, I think it's 3 months to marry a millionaire. They rent a penthouse that has all kinds of like furnishings already in it. And their goal is to live this lavish lifestyle to ensnare millionaires. Because as Lauren Bacall's character says, it's just as easy to marry a rich man than it is to marry a poor man. And you could just imagine three beautiful women who are just now like, on the hunt, on the prowl for a man. Lauren Bacall plays the brains of the operation. She is the one who is strict in her. She fell in love with, somebody who was poor once, and she's not doing it again. And then you have Betty Grable's character is kind of the naive one. She's not stupid, but she's naive, and she just likes everyone. She's friendly with everyone. And then you have Marilyn Monroe, and I think this is her best comedic performance ever. I really would have loved, if she would have lived, to see her do more roles like this.
Yes.
She plays someone who is really kind-hearted and who actually, I feel like this role is more of Norma Jean than Marilyn Monroe, in the fact that she has bad eyesight, so she doesn't wear glasses because only ugly girls wear glasses. And it's very much of this fight of her trying to find her confidence. This is Marilyn Monroe, who's considered one of the most beautiful women of all time. And in this role, you see that she actually probably had confidence issues because it comes through so well. Of course, they all meet rich men, and then they all meet poor men, and or who they think are poor men. And it's just this story of, who do you actually fall in love with? The person who's right for you, or the person who looks right on paper? And it's just a great story.
It is. I was so happy to see you put this one on, because I was like, oh, thank God. I'm like, I've got to get Marilyn on here somehow. But I mean, we even expanded our list and I still couldn't work it in. And I'm like, how do we do this? So
it's a great movie. And Betty Grable, this is, she was the it girl in the 40s. And then in the late 40s is when Marilyn came onto the scene. And Marilyn, at this point, I mean, this is 1953. This was the movie that passed that torch of the blonde bombshell. Like, you have to look at, Hollywood has room for like one it girl blonde bombshell per like 5 years. And Betty Grable had been the blonde bombshell for a while. She was a little older at this point than the rest of them. I read articles that said that this role made her sad because she realized that she was passing the torch, even though Marilyn didn't realize that she was passing the torch. She knew that her time was coming to an end as being the blonde bombshell. And starting. And so, and if you go and you read that and then you go back and watch it, you can see these little moments where her character breaks just a moment, and you can see this like realization that this could potentially be the end of her era. And it's such amazing, and the nuances are just really cool. So You know me, I love costumes too. There's a whole
Oh, these are great costumes, yeah.
Oh, where they're doing the thing for the guy. He like,
No, I agree. This is a fantastic pick. So yeah.
Yay!
So, yay! Oh, yeah. So yeah, and as we go along, I have a feeling I probably be putting a lot more Marilyn movies on our lists. So that I anticipate that because I do love and pretty much love most of her movies. I mean, because I don't know, I just think she's fascinating. So
well, we were talking
beautiful,
about
but
we were talking
yeah,
about
we were.
Before, so there's some of them I really really enjoy. So yeah, yay.
Yep. So
what
all right, so let's go on. So we're going to go number 2. So this is one that was on both of our list here.
It was my number 3. Your number 2. So
yep, right there together. And again, my number 2 and all those kind of moved around. It took a while. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just put them on the list. So this is also from Japan.
Yep.
And this one launched a whole, and still going, a whole monster phenomenon.
I'm excited about the new thing.
Like, me too. We're talking about Gojira.
I mean, 1954.
Yeah.
Look at that beautiful thing. That's so beautiful.
I know. Eating the train. I love that. That's actually one of my favorite pictures there.
I love Godzilla. So I was like,
me too.
On my list, and you were like, okay, I'll let you have your last one, which is my favorite movie of all time. But I'm gonna get Godzilla. That was we were negotiating.
Yeah, we had, at least it wasn't aggressive negotiation like in what's the movie? The Sixth Sense.
The Sixth. No, what wasn't that?
What's aggressive negotiation? Boom. Okay, who wants to negotiate now? No, none of that. It was peaceful. So, but no, yeah, this is, yeah, I also tend to watch any Godzilla movie. I know you love Mothra. And Mothra.
I watched Mothra versus Godzilla just Tuesday. I was like,
that's
I was
awesome.
through and I'm like, oh, it's Mothra. It's Mothra.
And I'm very excited because I keep hearing rumors that Mecha Godzilla may be in this next movie against King Kong. I'm like,
I'm not gonna lie. I have whole theories of what this movie is gonna be, and Shpoo and I have been talking about it. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I'm a huge Japanese monster fan altogether.
Yeah. Bring on the kaiju.
Right. I'm like seriously in like I love Godzilla movies. We were talking about it at work the other day, and I was like, have you guys seen the trailer for Kong versus Godzilla? And they're like, no. And I was like, no, I can't deal with you. They haven't even seen the trailer. I couldn't deal with it. It was terrible.
If you haven't seen it, after the show is over, people, go watch it. It's on GeekyKOOL.com. Go over, check it out because it's worth seeing. That whole thing on the boat.
Okay, so it's beautiful. So we have to talk about this sometime, but
this is a original. We will do this because I think I want to do this show. I've got something for this next week, but the week after we've got to do Godzilla.
Well, and that'll be they moved it up to March. This show
they did.
The 1954 Godzilla introduced Godzilla to all of us who now have this beautiful love relationship with Godzilla. He is the king of the monsters for a reason.
Right.
Kong is actually older than Godzilla. Kong, I brought Kong up in what was it, the 20s, 30s. The
30s. It was 30s, yeah. We both had him on our list then.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Kong is older than Godzilla. However, they share similar aspects. And when Godzilla came out, it was just this scary, imaginative creature.
Right.
That no one had seen anything like this other than dinosaurs. It was the Japanese take on a scary dinosaur. And but Godzilla has evolved from this creature, from this one movie has propelled us and given us so many amazing, imaginative, giant monsters that
Right.
I can't imagine the world without Godzilla. Like, I can't imagine what my childhood
I'm with you completely.
Without Godzilla, even the bad ones. Okay, like, I'm sorry, Matthew Broderick's Godzilla, but whatever. My son loved that movie.
I'm with you.
My son loved that movie when he was a kid, and that was it because it was very much more kid-like. It was for the kids than the others. But no, this movie is so good and so bad. It's not like
I agree.
You're not gonna watch it and go, "Oh my God, that script was amazing." It's not that movie. But, it's not that movie. But you watch it and you're like, the inventiveness of it, the adventurous like imagination that is behind this. And you see Godzilla movies from the 50s, like Mothra versus Godzilla. Like, which by the way, I had an argument with somebody and they were like, "You mean it's Godzilla versus Mothra?" And I was like, no. This one is Mothra versus Godzilla. But you see these movies and you have to think Godzilla was played by a man in a suit. Walking around set. Like, the sets alone were amazing. The little tanks coming, the little train. Like, that's not like CG. They didn't have CG.
None of that.
It was acting. Somebody got to play Godzilla. Right.
And interact with all these miniatures.
Oh,
so what in my research, because some of this I suspected, but I didn't know for sure. But and of course, this movie is directed by Ishiru Honda, who's did a whole bunch of these Godzilla movies and other monster movies. They created what's called suitmation.
Yes.
Which is basically the man in the suit performing against miniature sets, which are meticulous sets.
They look so real. They
do.
Yeah.
The principal photography for this movie lasted only 51 days, and then special effects photography lasted a total of 71 days.
I know. So, that's the thing. Is like, they didn't have CG. Like I said, it's not computerized. So these special effects were like, they would take the film and they would alter the film itself. It's like colorization of old photos. Like, when you see photos from like the early 1800s in their color, they would take the film and color the film.
Right.
Just the time it took longer to do the special effects than it did the filming.
Right.
I know I can't think of his name, and Shabu's going to kill me. And if Danny's watching this, he's going to kill me as well. But the man who got to play Godzilla, the one who was in the suit, he passed away not long ago. And it was actually a tribute at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters that they talked about that. But can you just imagine? He brought to life this creature that is just, he's still going, and he's going so strong now that I'm more excited about the future for Godzilla than I am any other franchise that I know of at this point.
I'm with you there. Yeah. The whole monster thing is just amazing. I'm so excited for it. We've got a comment from Mandy. We love you, Mandy. Thanks for continuing to watch with us.
She's watching that.
So, me too.
See, and that's like, you got to realize that this came out in 1954. It kind of like the sci-fi one you picked. You still had this residual, like, fear of the radiation that the atomic bomb created. And this is in Japan. So this is their, what would happen. Like, Godzilla is a radioactive monster. He is, I don't think people in America really understood it at the time. I think they do now. But he was literally their interpretation of the atom bomb being dropped.
Right. That's exactly right.
He was this monster that they couldn't stop that would destroy their cities. Just without any thought. And I know we were at war, and I understand that. And I'm not saying that it was right or wrong to drop the atom bomb. Personally, I have a belief, but I'm not going into a political debate with people about it. What this movie did, though, and people, I don't think they liked it, but they didn't realize that it had such a political and heartfelt meaning that these people of Japan were so afraid that not only that this would happen again, but that the effects of this was going to be felt forever. And
right.
Godzilla was their way of putting this fear into something other than a bomb. He was the atom bomb.
Right.
And so, politically speaking, this movie is very much showing you the inner emotions of the people of Japan in the early 50s. So, after the bombs were dropped, there were 2 bombs were dropped. And this is now they're like, what they come up with. So.
No, I agree. Also, another interesting fact I did not know until I researched this today. The original concept was to have a giant octopus instead of a dinosaur. So I was like, what? Right, exactly, a giant kraken. Release the kraken. Yeah. So
I think Godzilla is a better interpretation of the fear that they were feeling at the time.
I agree.
So
because it's a dinosaur. I mean, come on, it's or a dinosaur-like creature that. So it's this unknown, powerful thing, and then radioactive.
It's a primal fear.
It is, yes.
If you saw a dinosaur, you would have that primal fear. I don't care if it was a plant eater or not. If Jurassic Park actually happened, I don't care if it's a brontosaurus that you saw. You would have that internal fear that you're seeing something that's not natural. And and bringing a dinosaur, like a kraken, a giant squid, could be natural. A dinosaur they knew wasn't. And they created a radioactive dinosaur. And it's the most unnatural thing that they could think of, and for the most unnatural act that had been perpetrated on them. And no, and I love this because I don't think people realize the social and cultural meaning behind Godzilla for the Japanese people.
Right.
Yeah, I love it.
And they were less than 10 years out from the atom bomb, destroying 2 of their major cities, leaving shadows on the ground where people were. I mean, so that's kind of what you got to look at. And you can put that fear out into a monster movie that basically launched kaiju movies. And now, like I said, you had King Kong before, which is another giant creature, but and we're going to see them fight again, because I do remember the first fight, but which is just corny and is horrible. But this one looks great. So
excited. I loved it when they first brought Kong and Godzilla, and they said they were part of the same universe, like that sort of thing. But no, it's just this thing. I love that going to the King of Monsters, Godzilla, the one that just the last one that came out. I love that they took this fear of Godzilla and have now created, even though this one he's the bad guy in this one, kind of he's destroying cities for no apparent reason.
He does that.
Yeah, well, there's always a reason. He always has a reason, and I have a theory on that reason. But in the King of Monsters, at the end of it, I love that they had the monsters, where the monsters went with this radioactivity was actually replenishing the earth. And I find that a beautiful full circle from where Godzilla started. That he was literally the personification of destruction.
Right.
And now, because the world is different and he is different, he now brings hope. And that I think is a beautiful thing. And I hope that my hope is that the world in a whole can do that. We do circle around things a lot, and
we do,
and that would be great. So I know
I agree.
I know people are like, AJ's crazy. She's bringing up like these movies have meanings though, and that's the thing.
Right.
Understand the nuances of movies or books for that matter. Like, you know, you can have a book that is a great sci-fi book, but if you read into it, it can mean, you know, it could be a fight against industrialism. It could be a religious meaning of a book. There's all these things that can happen. And so Godzilla, the king of monsters, was created from fear.
Right.
Of what had happened. And that's just the truth. So I'm sorry if it's political, guys. I don't mean for it to be.
Well, you know, pretty much what people have to realize, anytime you're talking any sort of entertainment, there's always those things that drive it. Some things are more apparent than others, but there's always those underlying things. Even when you're talking fairy tales, there's a reason they're telling those tales, is they're trying to get a certain point across. So,
well, the fairy tales were terrible. Disney has turned them into happily ever after, but most of them weren't.
Yeah, you know, cutting off your part of your feet to try to stick it in the glass slipper and all that. Yeah, whatever. So let's move from King Kong, or not King Kong. Let's move from Godzilla, and to talk about your completely different type of movie that's your number one, which is also on my list.
Okay, so this is my favorite movie of all time. This movie has the highest rating of any movie on Rotten Tomatoes and all of those sites. Like collectively, it has the highest rating of almost any movie ever made. And it has the incomparable, beautiful, wonderful actress, and that is Bette Davis. And it is all about Eve.
And just check out those Bette Davis eyes.
Well, you see Marilyn in the background.
Yeah, yep, she certainly is.
This was her first movie. Or this was this was her, yep. I think this is her first movie. She has a little tiny bit role in it. But Bette Davis plays Margot Channing. And you see there across from her, that's Eve Harrington. And Margot is a Broadway actress, and she's been at the top of her game for a decade or so. And she is the it girl on Broadway. Although she's aging out of it. And she is a bit of a diva. She is not kind.
That's an understatement.
She's not kind to her friends. She's not kind to people who aren't her friends. She knows how to manipulate her way to stuff. She is in love. And there's this heart beneath Margot that just wants people to love her. And she is a narcissist in a way that isn't a narcissist. I know that sounds weird, but she portrays a narcissist because she thinks that's what people want. But Margot has this heart, and she is in love with this man, and she has a best friend and all of this stuff. And Eve Harrington is this young girl who comes in, and he's a huge fan. And Bette Davis's character Margot takes her in and makes her personal assistant, basically, and is trying to teach her the ropes and all of this stuff. And Eve is way more manipulative than Margot ever was. Eve is trying to take over Margot's life. It is very much Single White Female before Single White Female was a movie. It is she wants to become Margot. She wants what Margot does. has. And psychologically, this movie isn't a psychological thriller. It's a drama, but psychologically, this movie has tons and tons of layers that you peel them away and you just see these characters. You see Eve as a manipulative woman, but at the same time, you can look at her in a different scene and see this girl who just wants to be loved. You see Margot as this diva, but you peel it away just a little bit and you can see this woman who just wants people to accept her.
Right.
She basically, Eve works her magic, her manipulation throughout Margot's circle of friends to get people to actually harm Margot's career.
Right.
In ways that are unimaginable so that she could become the next Margot Channing. She can become Eve Harrington. And they do this with this thought that Margot's such a bad person and Eve is not. And then slowly they start realizing that they're both not good people.
Right. They're being played by both.
But Margot, they're being played by Margot out of fear because she doesn't want to lose her life. And they're being played from Eve out of ambition. And I love the full circle of this movie because at the end, Eve is now the it girl of Broadway, and Margot is a retired it girl of Broadway, and Eve now has to deal with her own Eves. She has to deal with the people who want to be her. And it's this strange tale, and I think it's very, very much in line with Bette Davis's life in the fact that she didn't want to be famous. She wanted to be an actress.
Right.
Like, there are lots of articles where Bette Davis loves what she does, but she doesn't like the fame. And it shows the danger of fame over doing what you love. And that doing what you love, sometimes if you're good enough at it, you get famous for it. But it shouldn't be your driving force. And I psychologically, this movie is amazing. The script, when we were talking about Godzilla not having the greatest script, but it's literally a great movie. This script, if you read the script, just read it as like a book, a play. It is so beautifully written. It has dialogue that is amazing. It has scenes that are not these huge production scenes, but they're so timeless and so precise. I love Bette Davis movies. She is one of my favorite actresses of all time. You know, she's been on these lists a lot. This is my favorite movie of all time. And that's saying a lot. It's just amazing. Like I said, you do see Marilyn Monroe in it. This is right after Marilyn became Marilyn. Right after Norma Jean was washed away with the blonde. And she plays somebody who's very much like Marilyn as well. She plays somebody who wants to be a starlet. She wants to be an actress and she wants to be taken seriously. And I just think that this movie was cast so perfectly, and this movie was so real in all of the psychological and like places that it comes from. So I love this movie.
No, this is a great movie. You've pretty much summed it all up, and it's just a fantastic look behind the scenes at fame. Look at behind the scenes, and you know, having done some acting back in college and stuff, looking behind the veil of what goes on with actors and actresses and kind of some of the undercutting stuff. But it is really highlighted there because, you know, when you're doing a little college play, you get a little bit of that, but it's nothing like this. But this, I mean, it really kind of tells you where things can go, especially with fame. So this is a fantastic movie. My favorite Betty Davis movie. This is really up there. So it's not my favorite movie of all time, but it's definitely one of the great movies. So
fasten your seat belts, fellas. We're in for a bumpy ride. That line is from this movie.
It is. It's most definitely is. People don't realize it. They think it's from Bugs Bunny, but no, it's. Well, because I think they quote that in one of the Bugs Bunny cartoons. But yeah.
We're in for a bumpy ride, and it's just
we're in for a bumpy ride.
It's this Margot Channing, like I just love it when Betty Davis gets to play characters with so much depth. She was one of those actresses that were fortunate enough that the studios, when they realized that she was as good as she was, they allowed her to pick movies that played to her strengths. And after her first few movies, which were okay, and she really got her name made, she picked movies that I really think were smart choices. I don't think she made, I can't think of a movie other than like her last couple movies that I would say were bad choices for her as an actress. And that's a big thing, because
it is.
Everyone has those movies that they made that know they regret, and I don't know if she did. Really don't know if she did. And if she did, I don't know which ones they would be, because they're all fantastic movies. So
they are. She's a great actress. So I agree. So
yay.
All right. So now we're up to my number one. So, so far here for mine, we've had our thriller. We've had our set in right as World War I's happening. We have our sci-fi. We've got our monster movie. What don't I have on my list? We don't have romantic comedy on the list.
You don't have a romantic Did you have a romantic comedy?
I've got a romantic comedy, which I know is kind of outside of my typical blog. Oh, we had a samurai movie. I forgot to say samurai movie. Yeah, we've got a romantic comedy. Probably my favorite romantic comedy. And part of it has to do with the name of my sister, which happens to share the name of the movie. We're talking about Sabrina.
Okay.
So, again, Humphrey Bogart.
So
but Humphrey Bogart in a very different role. Audrey Hepburn. So another Hepburn. So I've got two Bogey Hepburn movies, just different Hepburns.
William Holden.
Yeah. William Holden, exactly.
On my list, okay, so this movie was on my list along with African Queen, and I was like, he's got to pick one of them, and I was hoping to pick both. Oh my gosh, Audrey Hepburn in this movie is beautiful.
She is.
Girl Next Door, gone glamour.
Yeah. Well, and so people that don't know the story, basically, rich family has a driver, and this is the driver's daughter, and one of the brothers has fallen in love with her, or thinks he has, or maybe.
So,
and then the other comes. So it's really kind of a triangle there.
Yeah. Well,
but
and it's
so well done.
It is. I know it's named Sabrina, but it's really about the brothers. I know that sounds weird.
It is about the brothers.
But, she goes away and she's a kid and she's a tomboy, and then she comes back from Paris, from France, where she's been studying, and she comes back a little bit more sophisticated, and they realize that she's beautiful. And William Holden's character is the younger brother, and he's playboy. He's the one.
He's definitely the playboy.
Sabrina's in love with him. Her whole childhood, she's in love with him.
Her whole childhood.
And then she gets back, and he likes her too.
Right. Because she's beautiful.
But, Humphrey Bogart's character is the older brother, and he knows his brother, and he doesn't want her to get hurt. Because he knows his brother is superficial. And so he tries to protect her from his brother, And at the same time, he ends up falling for her too.
Right.
So then now she has the choice, which is amazing that the woman has the choice in this movie. Like, you know, she gets to choose who she's going to be with and who she, you know, thinks is more genuine and stuff. No, I love this movie. Love this movie.
And I love at the end kind of how things get decided too. How it's like, you think it's going one direction, you're like, oh man. And then you're like, what just happened? So yeah, this movie is fantastic. I saw this again, I don't know, a month ago. And it's so amazing. Humphrey Bogart gets to be in a role unlike anything else he did. And show that, hey, I'm a good actor, even though you've pigeonholed me in these kind of movies, and was very successful in those movies. He's got acting chops. He's amazing in this movie. I just love this movie. I love Audrey Hepburn anyway, and we'll be having more of her movies coming up with our other movies because
she really started her huge ascend, and so in the later years, the next few years, she has lots and lots of great movies. So
she does, including one we left off the list, which is Roman Holiday, which I was sad to leave off the list also because that's a great movie. Yeah, I'm like, how did we leave that off? So we'll talk about some of the movies real quick that we left off. But that's our list, guys. What do you guys think of our list? Let us know. Put comments down either on Geeky Kool or put them on YouTube. Let us know what you're thinking, and let us know what your list would be.
Sabrina started something, a trend in fashion. You know, I love fashion.
She did.
The little black dress was an Audrey Hepburn thing, and Sabrina was the start of it. There's the scene where she's at the ballroom and she's in a little black dress, and that's when women were.
Well, in fact, that's what she's wearing right here. Yeah.
Yep. The little black dress. So.
Yeah. No, every woman needs a little black dress.
I don't have one.
They make every woman look amazing. So that's just my opinion. And I could be wrong because I'm a man, so I can be wrong. So, but anyway, so those are our list. These are movies we love. We hope that if you've not seen some of them, you'll check them out. Every one of these is amazing. So you're not going to go wrong by picking any of them that you haven't seen. Check them out, guys. This is one of the reasons we do it. We want to let people know what's out there. And I just had to go. And look, I can grow. I can have a romantic comedy in my list at number one even.
I was shocked. I was waiting for a noir, and I was like, what noir is he gonna pick? And then you said that, and I was like, and when you said romantic comedy, my heart just was like, please let it be Sabrina. Please let it be Sabrina.
Of course, it's Sabrina. It's Bogey, of course, and Audrey Hepburn. I mean, come on. I how can you go wrong here?
I will say that I'm not a huge William Holden fan. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
This is my favorite William Holden movie, but that's not. It's not because of him. It's because of the others. So.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with exactly what you just said.
Yeah, he plays the role really well. So.
Yeah, he does. That the little playboy that you kind of like, but then you're like, he's really a jerk.
He is and he isn't. He was the youngest brother who never had responsibility.
And that's true. You're right.
It's very much like if you have two princes who are born and one's supposed to be king and one's not, and they don't put any pressure on the one who's not, and that's William Holden's character in this.
Yep.
So yeah, and of course, Bogey is just serious, but he's not. This opened him up a little bit. You didn't see him as all serious.
No, I agree. You actually see him be able to be. Well, and you see him be romantic in some of the other movies too, but it really kind of it shows his heart. He actually, I love how he acted. This and African Queen, I think, are two of his better acting movies. I really love him in both of these. Now, my favorite Bogey movie is Casablanca, followed very closely by Maltese Falcon because I love both of those movies so much. But these two movies really show you the ability of Bogey. Yeah. So. Probably that's going to. Yes.
Has a boyish charm, which you don't think of Humphrey Bogart as a boyish charm.
You do not. That's true. So what I wanted to go over a few of the movies that we didn't pick that we wanted to. Do you have your list of things that you want to throw out there, AJ?
I do not. You actually
okay. Well,
did a lot of the ones that were on my list were on your list.
Right. Well, see, that's a positive. So let me throw out a few more, and if we think of some more, because some of these have yours in there also, so I'll skip those. I already mentioned Roman Holiday, which is a great movie.
Very great.
Streetcar Named Desire. How does this not make our list?
Because I'm not a Brando fan.
This is Brando's. Well, no, The Godfather is, but this is second best role. This is a great movie. From Here to Eternity.
Okay,
From Here to Eternity is a great movie.
That one was on my 15. It's just Burt Lancaster. How is he not on our list more often?
I don't, because our lists are too short. People don't understand. They're like, you went from 5 to 7, and we're still like, yeah, it's way too short. I don't know. On the Waterfront.
Yep, that's a great one.
That's another great movie that got left off our list. So, because you had some of the same ones I did also. I mean, I had Singing in the Rain, How to Marry a Millionaire. And so, yeah. So those are our list, guys. So let us know what you think. And after the show, I'll talk to you a little bit about what I'm thinking for next week, because I've got an idea. So
cool. And I'll be back on Tuesday. I'm off Tuesday, so I'll be able to be back on Tuesday.
If something,
I don't know.
Right. Well, and we'll figure that out. It may have to be flexible, guys. So. But we'll let you guys know. So Tuesday we'll plan on, unless something happens, and then we will post that and make sure you guys know when we're going to be. Thank you for watching. We so appreciate everybody that came in and watched us live, that watches it later. You guys are so appreciated. Let's give shout outs to our friends here. Do you want to do them, or do you want me to do them? You always seem to do such a great job.
I'll do them then. That's fine. While you're on the internet, head on over to the Nerd Informants. That's Tim and Josh. And they're on YouTube and Facebook. They have all kinds of information. They share all kinds of news when it's happening. And guess what? They're a lot of fun. They have such amazing personalities. They're doing podcasts, and they do a live video as well. So be sure to go over there. When you're on Facebook, hit that like button. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out so much. So be sure to tell them that AJ and Larry sent you, or Ace and Professor, whichever one you guys want to use. Then we have, right, whichever one. Then we have Gary and Keith over at Pop Culture Minefield on YouTube and the Facebook as well. They bring us stuff that we don't even know we didn't know.
Right.
They're amazing. They have great insights, and they know everyone. Now, we will say this. We try to keep ours kid friendly. Sometimes they don't. A lot of the times they don't. but they're still amazing. So if you're over 16, I would say over 16, go check them out. They're not going to use words you haven't used if you're over 16. It's a thing. But if you're under 16 or something, you might want to get your parents' permission before you go watch their show. But be sure to go give them a subscribe and a like as well, and let them know that GeekyKOOL sent you. Then we have our friend, the Scallywag himself, Shpoo, over at Scallywag Productions on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I actually co-host a show with him every Tuesday and Thursday called A Series of Enigmatic Events. I'm still trying to say it right. He says it way better than I do. Where we talk about mysteries and everything. But he has shows every week. He has one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Some weeks, maybe not as much. He writes all the scripts and films them right here in the studio. So go give him a like and subscribe, and let him know that we sent you, okay? And then don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Facebook. We are also on our own website called GeekyKOOL.com. You guys, there's all kinds of articles on there. And as Shpoo says, it's your one-stop shop for all things nerdy. Professor keeps us up to date with all kinds of articles. I post things. We have a slew of writers who write for us once in a while. Some of them more than others, but it doesn't matter because they all bring unique perspectives to everything that's going on in the nerd world. So there we go.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's all we've got for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining us and hanging out with us for an hour and 40 minutes. we do appreciate that. We've been trying to keep it an hour and we never do, but yeah, whatever. Well,
it's a thing. It's a thing. It's all good.
It is. All right. Until next week, we'll see you guys later. Stay geeky.